welcome back to tonight's 102nd District debate here at the studios of My News 26. We are on question number 9, and this one will begin with Ms. Hoidinga. As the new year approaches, many people are seeing healthcare costs rising. What do you feel the government's role should be, both within the state of Michigan and nationwide, in healthcare? And what do you feel can be done about the increasing healthcare costs faced by many?
So at the national level, they're making a mess of this because they're mandating unconstitutionally that all of our citizens across the nation must purchase something or be fined, be taxed. And I just can't even tell you how highly disturbing that is to me. So let's open the markets up. Let's open the free markets up. Let's open the markets up across state lines like we do with our car insurance. That will drive our costs down. We do need to take care of those with existing conditions. That is probably the one and only good thing that I saw come of Obamacare. And depending on which president gets in, there is a definitive plan about how to take care of that. And Donald Trump has proposed a plan where we have block grants to our states that will cover the needy who cannot provide for themselves and need medical care or existing conditions. And so we need to open these back up to the free markets and watch the prices come down.
Okay, thank you. I apologize. Mr. Gaber.
I think the Supreme Court found those parts of the Affordable Care Act constitutional. I think cost could have been addressed earlier. The Affordable Care Act was a huge bill, and normally huge bills have problems. The Republicans in Congress could have addressed some of these problems. Instead, they voted, 50 sometimes to repeal. The problem with pre-existing conditions is, how do you do it? It's expensive, and I think you have to spread the cost across the board, as most insurance plans do for house insurance, car insurance, and so forth. So I would like to see it fixed. I think part of the problem with the rising premiums now is that there wasn't a public option put in, so there's no competition with government.
Sorry, thank you.
Obamacare cannot be fixed. It can't be fixed. It needs to be repealed, period, and something put in place that's going to make sense and be affordable for everybody. The middle class people, they're coming to me and they're showing me their premiums. One gentleman posted his premium rate increase up to over $2,500 for his family. You would have to get a second job. It cannot be fixed. It must be repealed. And another option to this is the states need to take back their rights. When the government at the national level starts overreaching, the states need to be able to take back their rights and do their own programs.
Thank you. Thank you.
I get a rebuttal.
We'll move on. I apologize, sir. The format calls for back and forth.
I thought I had a rebuttal.
Nope, I'm not on that one. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Because we will start, however, with you on this question. And you will have a rebuttal on this one. The Flint water crisis made headlines nationwide over the last year. How do you feel the state government handled that issue, and how would you handle a similar issue if it were to occur here in the 102nd District?
I think the state handled it badly. It began with the state-appointed emergency manager's decision to switch from the Detroit River, and the people of Flint were not listened to. There were complaints about the water almost immediately. They weren't listened to for a good year. DEQ dragged its tail on this, and then the EPA dropped the ball too. So it was a disaster all the way around. I think what could prevent these in the future would be one would be repealing the emergency manager bill, and a second would be to have more transparency in what's going on. The citizens of Flint couldn't get answers. So.
Great, thank you. Ms. Hoytinger?
It was actually the elected officials who voted to make the switch over. And it was their town, and they were trying to run it under an emergency manager, but they made the call. And elected officials are not plumbers. They shouldn't be making decisions like that, actually, without a whole lot of people involved. I think the publicity of this has really brought to light a lot of the issues, and I don't think this stuff would happen throughout our district. I know as mayor, whenever I had an issue with my DPW department, if the water levels weren't being coming out correctly, the mayor was immediately notified. So there was a huge drop of the ball there. Over the big picture, though, is there is lead in all of our pipes throughout the whole state. All of our pipes need infrastructure change, and we can't do that until we change the revenue sharing formula so that our cities have the money to fix our pipes and our infrastructure and our roads.
Thank you. Mr. Gabert, an opportunity for rebuttal.
I think it was the emergency manager who made that decision. But as far as revenue sharing, yeah, I agree it should be getting back to the local governments, but I don't think revenue sharing would be enough to cover this. I think it's an enormous, I don't think we even know how much Flint is going to cost us. So we're going to have to come up with other ways to fund.
Thank you, sir.
This.
All right, we'll move on to question 11, and we'll start with Ms. Hoytinger. What issues have you heard the most about while on the campaign trail, and what do you plan to do about those particular issues?
So several of the issues I've heard about, number one complaint is the healthcare skyrocketing costs. Number two, I've heard a lot about our car insurance rates and the no-fault insurance. And so our rates are double, in some places triple, what they are in other states and throughout the nation. I do think this is something that needs to be addressed. It is something I have looked into and will be addressing when I get to Lansing. And I think those are two of the major, and the revenue sharing, of course, is a third issue. Municipalities don't have the money to fix infrastructure. So those are three big things I'd like to tackle when I get to Lansing.
Thank you. Mr. Gabert, how about yourself?
I hear that people aren't making enough money, and I think we can fix that by upping the minimum wage. I think we could also fix it by repealing some of the anti-labor legislation that has passed. I think being able to join, establish, and maintain a union is one of our basic rights. And I put that in the part of the erosion of democracy in the state since 2011.
Okay, thank you. Any other thoughts, Ms. Hoytinger?
So anybody can join a union if it's available to them, but what's so great about America, now we have a choice. If they don't want to join it, now they have a choice, and that's what America's about, giving us choices. And so they're in a union, they're no longer forced to pay a due if they don't see the benefit of it. Unions do have a place in some areas, but now they have a choice, and I'm really proud of that.
Thank you. Thank you both. With that brings us to our final commercial break. You're watching the Michigan State House 102nd District debate here at My News 26 Studios. We'll be back in a moment.